right, so what happened to the boomers, and like how did they ruin America? So what happened to them overall is they got hit by lead dumbing down, which is proven, which led to them being super easily manipulated, easily brainwashed. They're putty in the hands of the group of people that you're not allowed to talk about. Like just say the TV, a huge influence on them. So, like starting with like politics, they voted for Ronald Reagan. Why? Because he was on the TV. They got tricked into voting for Reagan, and so basically we've had bad presidents under their watch ever since because they've been tricked into voting for the worst candidate. There were always better candidates. We're easily manipulated because they're just essentially babies with money. They engineered the oil prices to create a scarcity problem in order to make Carter look bad. I'm pretty sure this is a well-known or well-documented fact, but beside the point. Because of the gas prices, they were able to build up Reagan versus Carter, and where Reagan was going to save everybody, Carter was a buffoon for some reason because he didn't want to go to war, which was their biggest gripe against this guy. So they engineered the media against him using the gas prices, and they bring in Reagan, right? And what does Reagan do? Reagan's essentially, well, first of all, he's an actor. I don't know why they so easily fell for that. He was from Death Valley days. That was his big show. That's what everybody remembered him from. So boomers in love with Sheriff Lobo, that idea of, he was as close as to getting John Wayne. That's what they would have given their left testicle for President John Wayne, but whatever. Ronald Reagan was a good runner-up. Actually voted an actor into office, regardless of what he was saying, because he's an actor. How do you believe anything an actor's saying? He's like, guy's like a professional liar. The problems they were having in the 70s was there was a massive pollution problem, and this wasn't just boomers throwing trash on the side of the road, which was the reason for this huge nationwide campaign at one point, because boomers are idiots. As children, they're just dumping their trash out the side of the windows until it becomes an epidemic, which it never was a problem before. No one would ever trashed the country before. So in addition to just road trash and crap everywhere, the boomers are spewing everywhere. Now they're owning the businesses, or they're starting to, or maybe not owning them, but at least running them. And the big businesses now, of course, they're just all out for the almighty dollar. They don't give a crap about the, society or the earth or anything. They just want to cut corners and make money as quick as they can. So they start polluting, and the pollution becomes really bad during the 70s, late 70s, to the point, where everyone was getting sued. Nuclear reactors, paint factories, you name it, coal factories, everybody was getting sued. Why? Because they weren't being responsible with their pollution. So all they had to do was innovate on pollution, and instead of innovating, their great idea was to bring in Reagan and move everything to China. This is going to solve two problems for them. One, they can kick the can down the road, or would they believe they're kicking the can down the road? All they're doing is kicking it over to China. So now China's doing all the polluting and that we were doing, plus the polluting that they were already doing, which seems to be fine for the boomers as long as they don't see it. Then out of sight, out of mind. Which again solved two problems for them. One, the pollution, and then two, they don't have to work as hard anymore. They came up with this idea that we're all going to get rich by buying cheap crap from China and doing each other's laundry. That's how we're all going to get rich. And I guess it worked for a while, but what they didn't realize was that while jerking each other off, doing each other's laundry, they were sending all their money over to China. And so flash forward to today, economy's collapsing, and this is where we're at. During that time, though, of Reaganomics, Reagan basically did everything he could for the baby boomers. Basically, that's why they elected him. So this whole trickle-down infrastructure was great for baby boomers. Why? Because Reagan was all about everything that they wanted. They wanted more police state. Because boomers are extremely racist. They're fine. Like, they just don't want you to call them a racist. They're fine being racist, but they don't want anybody to know about it. And so basically, they're the whole mantra of they love blacks, gays, and Latinos just as long as they don't move next door.
So you would do anything for like all the illegals and stuff?
I think we have to be fair.
Guys, this is great. I think we found a new home for you guys.
What guys?
There you go. The immigration. They're gonna move into your house.
They are not.
What do you mean? You just said you wanted to support everyone, though.
Okay, I don't.
No, they're
Guys,
not.
can they stay for dinner? Wait. Well, we have your signature.
So, the problems that the boomers created in the 60s with all their free love and bullshit and diversity and all that crap created a huge crime problem. You know, XYZ, destruction of the nuclear family, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter what the reasons are, but it happens, and the crime explodes in the 70s. So now the boomers are scared because now they got a chip in the game, they got a house and all this crap, families, and now I'm scared of the people that they were all about, you know, protecting at one point. Now they want protection from.
Accountability for my actions that I need to take responsibility for. Can you give me a couple examples? I mean, maybe like when I marched for equal rights for women, or when I protested for equal rights for blacks, or when I voted my whole entire life for equality. My whole entire life. I have voted in every opportunity to give others the equality I felt that they deserved and had a right to. My entire life. My politics have not changed since high school. I was a liberal then, I'm a liberal now.
So here comes Reagan, cowboy, by the way, and he brings in, he's like a socialist. He's probably the most socialist president we've ever had, honestly, but most people are too stupid to realize it, especially the boomers. And so how is he socialist? Well, I mean, what did he do that was conservative? He creates the drug war, and in doing so, he creates this huge police state. He's a huge warmonger. He made deals with the Iran-Contra affair. That was all Reagan. He made deals with Iran to hold the hostages that were taken during the Carter administration. And Carter had negotiated the release of these hostages, but Reagan, knowing he was going to win, or thinking he was going to win the presidency, made a deal behind their back with Iran to hold the hostages till after he was crowned president. Then they would release the hostages. That way Reagan would get credit for it, not Carter, because they believe if they released the hostages under Carter, he would have won the presidency, because the whole media was against him, and therefore the boomers were against him. So anyway, you're thinking like, oh yeah, this should be good for the country. Well, it was only good for the boomers because they were holding the infrastructure at this point. So any kind of government, anything, they were making money on. If you weren't in the government though, or didn't have any ties to the military-industrial complex or anything, you weren't going to make any money. Well, unless you were in the medical industry, which is another thing the boomers had a huge hand in. They also were holding the reins of that. So, because of what Nixon did, they made it profitable to be in the pharmaceutical industry. So now that's exploding under Reagan, and of course all the boomers are making money off of that. So basically, under Reagan, the boomers created the self-service industry where they were only serving each other. And you name it: fast food, dry cleaning, restaurants, convenience stores, shopping malls. There was really no industry. All the industry had left the country. I mean, we don't make tires here. We don't make anything. We don't make clothing. We don't, because the boomers shipped all of our jobs over to China. That's why they're the only ones that have any money, because they set up this whole system in order to keep anyone else from having